Hello and welcome back. This is David from the Personal Finance Squad. We just finished section 2.6 where we went through Jasper's master budget list. It has all of the expenses listed on it, including supplemental items and savings vehicles. Against the income and the expenses, his balance shows a 0, and that's what it should be in your base budget. So now we're going to go in through section 2.7, inflow and outflow scenarios in the budget. This is a couple checkpoints that we'll see what happens during a given month when money comes in and out, because as I have stated before, budgets are meant to be at a 0 balance, but how the money gets there to be 0 can be different from every month. They will always need adjustments. So starting with the first section here, we can see, for example, rebate check. We mentioned maybe Jasper bought something last month, had a $50 rebate check, didn't think anything of it, and let's say he paid $300 for it. Even though he could have said, listen, I'm getting $50 back, he didn't account for it. So now in the next month he says, you know what? I have $50 coming in, so I'm just going to throw it in this month, consider it as income. So that's exactly what we're showing here, is that he has his second check yet to come in, and he has $50 in this rebate check, and at this point in his account, he has $2,289. Normally, he'd have $2,239 projected to come in. So we can just disregard this at this point, these numbers, because we don't have this sheet in front of us, but at this point, he has a gain of $30. You can see I've taken some snippets from the master budget sheet and just kind of stuck them up here so we can look at them. So as we go through a little bit further, we're kind of seeing what the results are, not so much what it stands at this point. But when we see that $50 comes in, that subtotal increases, the subtotal for the month increases, the remain column is unchanged because there's no money coming out at anything that it's accounted for. This is just truly a gain of $50 over and above what the normal budget scenario would be. So now we're going to go down to the next section here, section 2 and 3. We have spending and we have bowling. So spending at this point, he has spent $135, leaving him with $568, and $38 respectively for bowling, leaving $17. So you can see we have it listed on our little grid here that we have $135 withdrawn. Bowling was $38. In fact, you don't see home phone in this list, but the home phone was also withdrawn from. That equaled $205. So we go down here and says, well, the in-account decreases by $205. So that's a straight balance. We know that these go down by $205, and so our in-account again decreases right here. Here's the numbers. $205 is a result of these two figures right here. And then, onward, down, onward, down. But here's the thing. We talk about being balanced. So when we have we have expenses coming out, we have it coming out of the in account, right? So expenses minus income equals 0. And again, notice that this $50 here remains unchanged because we haven't had any increase or decrease over and above the amounts that we projected for this month's budget for Jasper. Okay, so now we're going to get into what happens when something does come unexpected. And we can see contacts here. Now, in Jasper's budget, he doesn't not have anything for contacts, and they're $20, so he decides I'm just going to go pay for them. So that means, right, $20 comes out of his account, and now the contacts, right, were unexpected, requiring another source to cover the cost. Well, in his case, he doesn't need another source because he has had an additional $50 the whole time right here. So the 20 taken away from that still leaves him a gain of 30 because of that rebate check that was, the additional amount added. So again, what I just spoke about is what we've written down here. So that is the bonus sometimes. Sometimes you may get a check from your grandmother for $100 and you want to throw it in there. Maybe you get a cash card for some reason. I mean, there's very many scenarios that you go through the year where just like money gets chucked in on over and above the paychecks that you expect to receive. So we're going to close down this section at 2.7, and you can see right here closing down a month. This next section in here is going to provide a scenario where we see what happens when something goes off the rails. Something comes in more than what's expected, and that's the unforeseen that we've talked about. The miscellaneous or the savings or something that needs to go pay for this, especially the miscellaneous. But again, we'll go through a couple scenarios and we'll see how that plays out. So again, thanks for joining in this section, and we will see you in 2.8.